Hi, good day everyone. Sorry about the delay in the video of gold as I promised last week. I just have a bit of negotiations with the book of White Monopoly Capital. But anyway, let's get back to it. Now, according to my analysis and fundamentals, gold moves with US inflation. They are actually correlated to one another. Now, this is a chart. It's, as you can see here, it's 10 years of history that I have here, and I will go further on. But as you can see here, gold is in blue and then US inflation is in black. Now, the moment you see US inflation is picking up and then you see gold is also moving in the same direction. And the moment you see inflation goes down in the United States and you see gold moves also exact same direction. Now, if I reverse back to, let's say, the 1970s, because that is actually a nice chart, and just to show you more proof, you will see the exact same story. Here was in the 1970s where the US was battling with high inflation. Just making the 1990. Just 1 minute on this one, but this is actually a very good example of the United States where they were battling with high inflation due to OPEC sanctions and there was a recession and all of those things. But here you can see that US inflation went up and then you see gold also with it. And then you see US inflation come down and it came down here, and there you see US inflation move up, and then also at the same time you see gold moving up. Same thing here. Inflation goes down, gold goes down, fairly stable, gold also fairly stable. Now, what is the whole story between inflation and gold, or especially US inflation and gold? Now, when inflation increases, this is now pure economics, when inflation increases or rapidly increases, then money loses value. So in that regard, what people or investors will normally do, they will run to gold, which is normally known as a safe haven during inflation, when inflation goes up. All right. Now, normally also other commodities go up. For example, cattle, milk. Look, a lot of things goes up, which is commodities. But the most common one is that when inflation goes out of hand, that is where money will lose value and people run to gold. All right, so to store their value, that's why they're running to gold. Now, the big question of today is that what is going on with gold today? So I was just giving you a brief history of inflation and gold. Now, today, if I just bring it back to a 5-year chart, right, now we have the story today. So yeah, inflation is running wild. Inflation is going up. You can see inflation going up, and here gold goes up. And then you see here inflation coming down, and then gold goes down. But then all of a sudden, inflation is going up. The gold price is going up, and then inflation is on its way down. Now this doesn't make sense. It doesn't correspond with the fundamentals. Now, as I said, inflation and gold is closely related. Right now, what is the story with gold going up? The only thing that gold goes up here, which is the second most important part, is due to risk. Now, the whole story of the trade war between China and the United States, this is actually what keeps the gold price alive. Due to the trade tensions, I will not say much Brexit, because Brexit is coming on since I think it's 2006 or there around. 2016, there around Brexit went on, so that story is out of the way. So I will not say much Brexit, but this is purely because of the two giants, which is China and the United States, that are battling with the trade war, and that's why gold is going up. Now, What I know, the market normally gets used to something. For example, if the trade war continues, the market will like, it's just another story between China and the United States. And that might bring gold back. As long as the inflation is going down in the United States, there's a high probability that gold will come down. Now, the big thing also, how do you trade in this environment? The best thing is what I always say to my students, is to hedge this way out until the market get used to the whole trade war thingy, because the last trade war that happened was in the 1930s during the Great Depression. So until that story comes down, you will see gold moving back to its fundamental origin, which is it's going with inflation. Unless inflation goes a bit further down, which I would like, then you will see the gold will also start to plunge. But for now, because of the trade war between China and the United States, you will see gold go up. But as I said, please hold in mind that the market do get used to something and they no longer pay attention to the trade wars, and then you will see that the gold price will actually move backwards down. Just for the last part, during the 2008 recession, this is also one part that that happened here. As you can see here, okay, let's make the graph a bit bigger. 2004 maybe. I just want to show you something. That's why I was so sure that the market will get used to the trade war thingy. Now, yeah, the inflation plunge. This was now because of the recession. You can see here, gold did went down, but then reversed back up again. And with inflation also went up. Now, then you will see inflation is coming steeply down, and you can see here gold also goes down. Now, what holds the gold price up here? The only thing that holds the gold price up there is when the Federal Reserve, when the Federal Reserve was using its total assets. Now that is what it means by QE, or the other word is asset repurchase, or the word that we all know, it is printing money. Now when the US were printing money, that is where the gold price went up, because the market was not sure, or they were thinking that the United States will become like Zimbabwe or Venezuela today, because the printing story was something new to the market. So obviously when something new happens to the market, they would first thing they would run to gold. As you can see here, the exact time when they started to print, that is where you see gold was moving in the right in the right direction. But when the market were getting used to this whole printing thing, you would see that the market were, we will not become like, the United States will not come like Zimbabwe, and that is where they're starting to sell off gold. So what I'm saying, the market will get used to this whole trade thing, because the market is just not sure what will be the effects of the trade war. That's why they were running to gold. But the moment the market start to realize, but they know what will be the outcome, then they will not worry anymore, and then they will start to sell off gold again. So all the best with trading with gold, and this is just my bit of history with gold and inflation, and just to give you a brief understanding of how I see how gold move. Thank you. Bye-bye.